Most of us think privilege is a choice. It's actually a right.
Diversity is otherwise, in many places, it's almost like a tokenism. It's more on paper, or it only becomes gender diversity.
Yeah.
But you very rightly put across that diversity is not only gender, it is age, it is race, caste.
Shakti Branch it's a standalone branch headed by a woman. The team is by women. The security is women. You have a
Wow.
play area. Your customers largely are women. So the entire P&L is by women.
The most surprising thing you have learned about people through your D&I journey?
We are self-restricted.
We create our own barriers.
We
yes.
create our own barriers and we imagine it.
Women should not be in that position saying that if it's marriage and motherhood, might be I'll not have a career.
Hello and welcome to In the Spotlight, a podcast by Aditya Birla Capital, where we bring you insights and stories from leaders across our businesses, from loans, investments, insurance, and payments. Today, we are talking about something that shapes not just our workplaces, but people's lives: diversity, equity, and inclusion. And while those sound like big corporate words, at its heart, DEI is about everyday moments, feeling seen, heard, and valued. And joining me today are two inspiring voices from Aditya Birla Capital: Dr. Sujatha Sudheendra, who heads HR and DEI at ABC, and Khushboo Sharma from ABSLI. They are here to share what it really takes to make inclusion part of the culture, not just the calendar. Hi, Sujatha and Khushboo, and welcome to In the Spotlight. And I'm very excited, Sujatha. Congratulations. It's your 18th year in ABC. So you're right place, right time in the show. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Darshana. I think this day is much more wonderful with this show with you. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Chandra.
Thank you, Khushboo.
Thanks. And so this is a very important conversation. And I know that personally also, and for the organization, diversity, equity, and inclusion is a conversation which is important. And to tell our listeners, to tell our own employees that how are we doing things. And to begin the conversation, Sujata, firstly, I want to talk about you as a woman, your career, your journey, not just 18 years here, but you've been talking about, how you have, now you've done your PhD, you've done your doctorate, you've raised two kids. At the same time, you're today, a marathon and I don't know, a long runner. You are many things in a, woman put together and leading the HR practices, including D&I. So let's talk about your journey, Sujata.
Yeah, I grew up in a typical South Indian family. I was raised in Hyderabad, a very middle class family. And my childhood was very privileged, I feel, when I look back. For example, when I was growing, there were no, all the gender biases were blurred in my immediate family. I love flying kites, Dashna.
Wow.
I can play marbles with the boys. I can have matches, several matches. I saw my dad in the kitchen. So I thought this is how the world is going to be. And of course, I got married early. And I never knew that studies will, come to a stop if you get married. Those thoughts were never there and it was never was. So I continued post-graduation. As soon as I completed my graduation, I got married. Then I did my post-graduation. Then I...
So you had the family and your husband's support for you to continue.
Yeah. And then I had kids and, whenever your husband would get transferred, you always move. So you're always, uprooted, I would always call.
Yeah.
Then that's when we went to Delhi, I said, no, now I want to do my research, my PhD. And I did my PhD after having both the kids. It never occurred to me that you can't. So probably that's why I did.
So that's amazing, Sujata, because not everybody has this, first of all, the self-belief and the environment that supports you. So talk us about your journey in ABC, ABG, your 18 years that you have completed, and especially how your helm of, leading the D&I practices in ABC.
Yeah, so Yeah, I'm 18 years in ABG, ABC. I feel very proud, that it's going so strong. When I started, I was in talent management and employee engagement. This was a new function. ABFSG was just, it just took birth.
Yes.
Yeah. And I did not know anything about financial services, nor did I know anything about talent management. It was then that I experienced inclusion, all the CEOs, all the HR heads came together and helped me. It's the most vulnerable moment I could ever experience. Transition is very, very vulnerable,
True.
and that too at a corporate level, it was much more difficult. There's a lot of self doubt. But whenever there's self doubt, I also saw help. They all helped me, and I really found it very, very inclusive, because they would ask me, what is your perspective? What is your view? I never knew that my view carried so much weight. And that's how I really felt, yes, probably this is the organization that considers everyone's view. Uh, and after that, a couple of years later, I moved into ABFL. Again, I have no experience about the lending business. When I moved in there, we were 99 employees, and when I left, it was 6,000 employees.
Wow.
From a 2,000 crore book, we went to a lakh crore when I just
Correct.
moved out.
Yeah.
So I think it is a lot of help that comes, which makes an individual successful. However strong you are, I think the environment plays a very, very important role.
And the culture.
And the culture.
Yes.
And culture is what we create, Darshana.
Correct. So that's what you've seen us as support. What got you to really looking at diversity and inclusion, as a forefront? And you are leading it, Sujatha. So how did it start?
As I told you about my childhood, I never knew that privilege, most of us think privilege is a choice. It's actually a right. I don't think any woman, or for that matter anyone, should be forced to take an option saying that I will lose this at the cost of that. I will lose my professional life at the cost of my personal life, or vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I said, no, we have to now make this belief into action. And I got an opportunity to lead this function. And I said, what all we go through, it's just diversity is again just not about women. It is about different sets of people with different ideas. And we said, how can we create platform for talent to come and contribute their best? It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and you're right, because see, diversity is otherwise in many places it's almost like tokenism. It's more on paper, and or it only becomes gender diversity.
Yeah.
But you very rightly put across that diversity is not only gender; it is age, it is race, caste, it is various things. Age. Today we also have multi-generational workforce happening.
Yes.
With Gen Zs coming in, and we also have boomers, all 50, 60 plus in our ABG culture. So yeah, bringing all of this together and creating inclusivity is what even I truly see what is happening at Aditya Birla Group, and we are very privileged to be here and talk about it. And that brings me to you, Khushboo, because interestingly, while Sujatha at one end is celebrating her 18 years, and she has seen many facets in her career, but you really have been out of campus 9.5 years with ABG, and now with Aditya Birla Capital. You are our proud and the Pride Leap program candidate coming from IIM Lucknow. So very different. Give me your background and how has been your experience, because this is your first job, right?
Yeah. So, Darshana, I joined the group in 2016 and the leadership program you said, and as rightly said, fresh out of college, more of like a management trainee. But the group has been very. It has given me a lot of enriching experience in terms of three things. First, the leaders which I have worked with, they have been very, very supportive. So this has helped me do the learnings part. So when I talk about the learnings, so my first stint was in the central cell, which was the consumer insights and brand development, which gave me a lot of exposure to different companies in the group. My first role which was the mission happiness implementation in Aditya Birla Yarn. In that role, I had to travel a lot. I visited Indonesia, was stationed there. We had to set up a call center right from scratch. And it was extremely exciting for me to do all this right in the first role. So that was very enriching when we talk about experience in the first role.
And I also want to bring the facet that is, as a group, we also believe in equality. Just because you were, just out of campus, you started, but you were still given such a, important profile in Indonesia, where you didn't know the culture, you didn't know the language, and nor was your theory textbook ready running a call center, right? So you really brought that thing together. And that's important, that not every group takes this kind of a bet on a starter, on a person who's just fresh out of a campus and is going to be, leading it like this. So tell me more on that, Khushboo.
Yeah, definitely. I would say my seniors have taken a bet on me, but it's also about being ready for it. I mean, me and my colleague, we both were assigned that project, and many times it happened that, I have been asked, "Can I also go?" I have raised my hand a lot of times, saying, I also want to try this. So with this soft nudge from my seniors that try this, I have also raised my hand saying, I want to try this. So it has worked both ways. And I'm very thankful that, I have never heard no from my seniors, saying that, my seniors have always encouraged me, give it a try and you can do it.
So they didn't feel that, oh, you are a woman, you won't be able to do it. That wasn't
That was never the case. In fact, what I see is that being a woman, there's always a concern around that, we will allow her to do it, but what if, she's uncomfortable? So that concern gets broken once we speak.
Correct.
Once I raise my hand, then there is no doubt in their head that she will be able to do it. Or we should send her alone. We should let her travel to Turkey alone, or let her travel to Indonesia alone. So all that comes with the confidence that we project and we bear. And first visit, second visit, and by the time I have my third trip, my seniors already know, she's okay. I mean, she'll be able to manage it. So that's how it has worked for me, and it has worked very well. And it's not just about this stint. The kind of stints I have been doing during my central cell period in the first 5 years of my career were varied. I mean, there were times in more retail. I did a project where I stood in the store for the entire day.
Ask me about it. I have been in retail.
And learning how the retail store works, trying to be a cashier for a day, be a bay person for a day. And that learning was completely different.
Right.
And, many times we confuse that, being in HO or being in the chairman's cell gives us a lot of visibility. But I have always felt being out there in the store has given me the most learnings. And be it more retail, be it yarn business or insulators business in Halol, everywhere I've got the maximum learning on the ground. And that's how my first 5 years in the career were. And after 5 years, I had my first maternity break, after which I told my seniors that, I want to explore Aditya Birla Financial Services. And that was another milestone where everybody was open to it. And I was given this role in Aditya Birla Sun Life Insurance, completely with no background of financial services, and was a senior role. And I was able to do well. And last 4 years have been great in Aditya Birla Sun Life Insurance.
Amazing. So I think we are here, three women chatting. None of us come with any financial services background.
Absolutely.
Mine also is the same, where I come from retail, and I am here now 9.5 years. I had joined the health insurance business. And I absolutely, echo what you were saying. Khushboo and I do tell this to more and more, not just women, but anybody out there. If you have an interest, raise your hand, ask for it, voice it. You don't have to wait for somebody like your manager will figure one fine day, or most of the times if it's on the manager, one believes that no, my HR has to decide. No, you have to decide for yourself. And that's exactly how I have raised my hands, and I have seen the growth. And I know that in Aditya Birla Capital, we have the CEOs, we have the leadership team who takes bets. Because all three of us are, sitting over here, and all three of us come, we are diversity, right? Because
Absolutely.
we don't, not just gender, because we also don't come from financial services at the background, and we are all at the helm. But Sujatha, I want to, bring back on D&I as a topic. And what are the myths and challenges that, you have seen and heard over the years and being able to say that, oh, this is not true.
The first thing, rightly you pointed out, Darshana, that diversity is headcount of women. I think that's the first myth. The second myth is they say diversity, equity, inclusion is for underrepresented people. Hello, inclusion is for everyone. The third thing I hear is DEI is a HR job. I think that's another myth.
Right.
So there are these myths that happen everywhere, which is nothing is true. Unless and until the organizations will not talk about it and the employees will not experience about it, it will continue to remain a myth. I think because it is deep rooted right from our childhood, Darshana.
True.
So, for example, when Khushboo said, men are concerned about our safety. That's how we've been conditioned. The era was different.
Correct.
I think once you raise your hand, give them that comfort and confidence, you'll always get enough and more opportunities. Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me this, like you said that D&I is HR's job, and that is true in many organizations and many places. We see that HR has to drive that, and you're right. It's an organization job. It's a culture that you build. So how at Aditya Birla Capital, Sujatha, have you been able to change that and not being an HR job, but every leader, every manager's role?
It's a very, very interesting question that you have asked me. So it is not a HR job. First thing, are we standing up in true spirit of DEI? If you're standing up and you're saying that is the culture, you should have systems, processes, and policies. Only then the execution can happen.
Right.
For example, right from your hiring, that is where it all starts.
Correct.
So in our campus hiring, we believe in diversity. And here, let me just talk about the gender part of it, because that is equally important. And that's the first step towards DEI. We go in for campus hiring. Again, here we go for women in sales and non-sales. You may have women in non-sales, but to attract women in sales is equally tough, I'm telling you.
I agree.
Most of us are parents, okay, and when our daughters want to take up a sales job, I think our fears, we try to, rub off our fears on our daughters.
True.
Yeah. So I think that is where the organization will stand up in that space. Then secondly, how will you do your training and onboarding? I had a very interesting session. This is, we were opening a Shakti branch in Mulund, all women Shakti branch. And
so what is a Shakti branch? Can you elaborate?
Yeah, Shakti branch it's a standalone branch headed by a woman. The team is by women. The security is women. You have a play area. Your customers largely are women. So the entire P&L is by women.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So when we just inaugurated Shakti branch, our training manager Santosh, when he was addressing women, he said, do you want to learn the products differently? That is when I understood, when it comes to learning, everyone has their own style of learning. It's not one training program that you can just run. True. Probably women would like to understand a product very differently. True. I said, that is called hyper customization.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So that is where you have these training, developmental programs, fast track programs. And secondly, women who take sabbatical and want to come back to work.
Yeah.
How do you give them that comfort?
Yeah.
And thirdly, women should not be in that position saying that if it's marriage and motherhood, might be I'll not have a career. So that is why from the minute, the woman says that she's conceived, there's a motherhood program that we have. After that, of course, we have Nanny and creche reimbursement. And she, has experienced it all. Right. We have different cafes where women can actually lean in on each other, because motherhood is a very, roller coaster ride.
Absolutely.
Yeah. After the maternity leave or during the maternity leave, you feel that you're completely out of touch, So we have the Accelerate program so that we are still in touch with you. And we ensure that once a woman is about to come a month before, we'll start looking out more roles for her. In fact, while we plan it much ahead, you don't have to compromise just because you have returned from your maternity leave.
Right.
We have, fast tracking programs for different levels. Like we have Sreshta, we have Tara, we have, other programs which will help women, definitely.
So what is Sresha and Tara?
So Tara is for junior people, where we do the mentoring program. Okay. Sreshta is for middle management women that we having. And we also have Springboard for the senior management women, where we give them business immersion experiences. Then very important is how do you sensitize your men folks into this
Correct.
entire. So you should have men as your allies. So that
Correct.
is very, very important. Otherwise, it does not
Correct.
happen,
Yes.
So it is just not one day training program, or it is just not one day event or incident. It has to be inculcated in your culture. For example, Darshana, whenever there's expansion happening now across ABC, they'll say, how many women are we hiring? Now, we don't have to push. Now our managers are asking, so how many women? So your JDs has to be gender neutral. Your
Correct.
communication should be gender neutral. Otherwise, you can see those marketing collaterals, which 5 years back I would get so upset. I said, make it gender neutral.
Yes,
Na?
yes.
It can't be that macho and masculine kind of marketing collateral.
Yeah, the whole stereotype.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's a 360-degree perspective of ensuring that you are living DEI.
Well, this is amazing, right? And where I want to bring us to is that's where the difference between equality and equity. Yeah, because equality is about treating everybody same, giving everybody same, and I understand that. But where an organization and really the DE and I, the E part of it comes in, is where we are giving the equitable growth, where we are recognizing the need, the life stage of a person and helping them there and helping them to succeed in their outcomes. I think that's where you're talking about that how if you're on maternity and you want to come back, and I know women have a lot of insecurity that I'm missing out, will I get growth, and that's where supporting them through the life stages is what an equitable growth is, because equality is great, but equity is what everybody needs.
Absolutely.
Right?
So yesterday I was asking my niece, who's 17 years old, I was asking, do you know the difference between equality and, equity? She said, equal is you're giving everyone equal. But in equity, there's fairness and justice.
Fairness and justice.
So here you'll be, many organizations do not give that, if you are giving nanny reimbursement for mothers, you have nanny reimbursement for single fathers too. That is true inclusion.
Correct. And I think that's where you need to talk about, but it's not just about women, it's also about men today. It's about same sex. There are many things that is happening in the world, and we will have to recognize all of that. Also special needs, disabilities. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So apart from the nanny and creche reimbursement, let's say women have to travel because of official work. It's not only the woman whose travel needs are taken care. Her nanny and her child are they can travel along with her so that the baby does not lose the presence of the mother.
Wow, amazing.
So the flight charges, the hotel charges, everything is taken care by company, and I don't think nobody is going to ask anything about that. Then for IVF also we have our insurance. We also have insurance for same gender partners. I think very rarely people can talk about it. We are creating that awareness, saying it is all about talent. It is not about gender or sex that we should be
the
talking
choices
about.
That you have. Yeah. So, but this is interesting. I don't think people, including in our organization, are aware that we have IVF insurances. We have same partner, same gender, insurances.
Insurance for your partner, for your parents also you have.
Correct.
Yeah. So partners of parents of both the sides, your in-laws and your parents. Very rarely.
Amazing policies. And Khushboo, coming to you, because you have been one of the users, you have seen your maternity experiences, and like you said, twice. Why don't you talk us through, how you were feeling and how have you experienced it? Because I want more and more our people in the organization to know that we have so much of not just policies and practices, but also how we support.
Yeah. So I have been through life stage experiences. I got married while being in ABG. For me, unlike what Sujata said, marriage was just a 20-day leave, and because I knew my husband much before, and I just took a leave, came back, and was on work right after that. So it was not a break in a career or any difference in my career or working from that point. But when I had my first maternity leave, that was where the real concern started. I was really worried whether I'll continue work after this, what will happen, how will be my health. And I knew nothing about this women related policies in the group by then. When I joined back, I got a warm welcome and a promotion, good rating. And the group was ready to give me another role, which was enhanced role than what I was already doing. And that gave me so much confidence. And
did you have the fear that, oh my God, will I be able to come back? Will there be
initially I
continuity?
had,
Yes.
but I was very eager to join back. But it was very comforting to receive that kind of a welcome and continue, because when you get that kind of a welcome, you're even more motivated to work, and you want to give your best at office.
Right.
And there were times where I joined Aditya Birla Sun Life after that, in the operations team. And there were times when you want to be at home and you feel a little guilty about telling your seniors, I want to be at home because the child is sick. It happened
Tell me
first time,
about
it
it.
happened
Yeah.
second time, but the the kind of responses which I got, it made me so comfortable. And that makes you give your best at work. That happens. And the kind of policies which the group has, I always tell people, there are so many policies, and it supports you in every way possible. It leaves you with zero excuse to not work or not show up. I mean, there is nanny, there is child, well, I mean, there is a leave specially for child care. And these kind of things, I may not have used each and every policy to the fullest, because there is a driver allowance, for example, in pregnancy. I mean, it is so comforting to have that, even though I never needed it.
There's a driver allowance, is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you
Even
can have a
I'm learning
driver.
here.
It takes a lot of pride when I tell my family also, I have these benefits. That's about the policies. Also, it gave me a lot of confidence during my second maternity break. So as I always tell, my first maternity break was much about continuity. I was always worried whether I'll continue. Second was more about growth. I was worried whether I'll come back and be able to take a larger role. It was no more about continuity or survival. So that's the transition, because I experienced this in the first break. So that happened. So that's about the policies, I would say.
And so growth, and I hear you got a promotion.
Yeah. So after my second break,
Darshana, when Khushboo was about to come back from her maternity leave, I think we have a role, and automatically, Kamlesh and Anuba and everyone, we started talking about, okay, now that Khushboo is going to come back, we have this new role opening. Can we consider her? I think we had two roles for her, and we gave the option saying that attend interviews internally, choose what is comfortable for you. And both the managers were more than willing to say, yeah, we are ready to take Khushboo. So it does not mean that you're on maternity leave, you have to compromise on your next role, when you're joining.
And in fact, that was my next, because the data, the statistics that I have seen is that 76% of women in India, or in the city also, they lack this kind of flexible policies, this kind of assurances and support, and they leave the workforce.
Yeah.
So interestingly, Sujatha, any data that we have in ABC that where we have people after maternity coming back, and we have been able to sustain, our colleagues and employees here?
Yeah. Before I coming back to the data, let me take you to the input part of it.
Yeah.
We track, diversity rigorously month on month, every month. You have to fill in the diversity gap. For example, I think in the BFSI space, we are 33% diversity. We are going great. We are only increasing.
Amazing.
Yeah? So that is there. The second thing, what we are definitely looking at is manager sensitization. How do you ensure that the manager is equally sensitized, trained, and it's not a one-day training program?
Absolutely, yes.
It's a culture. So in his or her dashboard, how many women you have trained and how many women are growing, are getting promotion.
So growth also is equally.
So inclusion is extremely, extremely important. Then the number of training programs you're having.
Right.
And men as allies. So there are so many factors which actually look into it. And in our review, either by Shubhru or by ABG, this is a functional review by itself. It's just not a couple of slides that you're talking about. And every HR head will look at it very seriously when a woman is resigning. Why? What is that we did not do that the woman wants to leave?
So this is interesting. So absolutely, we as the group are not looking at D&I as just tokenism. It's not a paper policy, but it's actually in practice. The reviews that you're talking have happening monthly, the questions that get asked, 33% of our workforce. And most importantly, when they come back from their maternity break, they are not just coming back, but they are thriving.
Yeah.
They're looking at how we, and the manager sensitization, which you spoke about, because yes, you need everybody in it together.
Yeah,
Like you said,
absolutely.
it's not an HR practice. It is about every manager who has to ensure that they, in their recruitment, they have the diversity mapped in it.
Yeah.
I think this is fantastic as a culture.
If you do a good job and if you raise your hand, I think everyone is ready to support you.
Yeah.
I think that all begins. And few women were saying, listen, we don't want any quota. Give us equitable opportunities, we will prove ourselves.
Sujatha, whilst we're talking about some really amazing practices that we are talking about at the group level at ABC, and even in rehiring, bringing women back, looking at how gender awareness is there. Are there areas where, because there may be areas which would have become challenges for us, there would be, something which has not worked, and we should talk about that also. Anything that you have seen in your journey and which you really tried or believed, and it's not been successful as yet.
Yeah, definitely. While I said that we look at diversity not only in terms of just statistics, we also look at success rate.
Correct.
Yeah. So we ensure that when a woman goes on maternity leave, is she coming back and how long she is working?
Yes.
That's extremely important.
Right.
So where probably we can make it more work is in the sales space. So how can you make that entire business model so conducive that the woman, because she's interested in sales, how can you create the environment around her so that she can continue working in sales? I think that is the space that we should work.
Yeah.
And especially in tier 2, tier 3, can we do it a little more differently is what we have to definitely think about. That's an area of improvement there. The second thing is, mental health.
Yes.
Is so important and it is part of your DEI.
Yeah.
Can I create psychologically safe space, not only for women, for all our employees to be themselves?
Right.
See, Darshana, if you give that safe space, I will bring the best of my everything. I don't have to just fit into the team.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
I agree with you.
I will bring everything.
Yes.
The
I
third,
bring my whole self.
my
in.
whole
Absolutely.
self, I should be able
Yeah.
to bring. And then can I give, some timeout options? Especially in COVID, we had a lot of challenges because whatever said and done, so much fell back on the woman.
Yes.
She had to manage kids, she had to manage home, and she had to manage work. That is when we realized we have to sensitize our men managers much more than anyone else. And then we gave this options,
Right.
And the other thing is, how do you make your junior people, give them an opportunity for them to speak up? And what I observed here in ABC, either with Rakesh, Kamlesh, or with Shubhru, when we have a town hall or when we are meeting people, Nadashna, they speak to the junior most person and ask them, what is your view? And how do you want to help the customer? And that's how so many cross-functional projects came up.
That's true, because that's where they are young. They are living today's generation. They are full of ideas.
Absolutely.
And yes, that voice matters.
And imagine you as a...
It's not about hierarchy and band. It's about,
when you go and ask, what do you think? How do you think we can help the customer better? Or what challenges you have? They said, we need simpler MIS processes, or we need a little more information from the ops or underwriting team. And keeping the customer in the center, how well these people actually connected with the junior most people. Because, Darshana, I always believe that two cohorts of people will actually tell us the truth. One is your frontline salesperson and one is your customer.
Right, of course.
These are the only two people, right? So how well they connected.
Yes.
I think these are the nuances that is embedded into the culture of the organization.
And one of the things we speak a lot in our boardroom today, and it is important that as Aditya Birla Capital, the whole I am ABC culture that we are driving, how are we empowering our employees to service and give the best experience to our customer? Because at the end of the day, we are here all for our end user, who is our customer. So this whole empowerment that you're talking about, which comes in so many policies and practices that we are giving at every life stage, to empower people to succeed. That brings me to what are the wellness, because you touched upon that. On the wellness side, and Khushboo, you can also add, because I feel that wellness, and I've seen wellness practices, it anchors on 4 pillars, which is your physical wellness, which is your mental wellness, which you were just, you were talking about. Then we're talking about financial and social. So tell me more about how in our DE&I we are bringing the whole wellness side. And you spoke about psychological safety.
Yes. You look at, the health drive which we are,
Yes.
pushing in every business.
Yeah.
We are saying that we will take care of your health. You look at the Multiply app now.
Yes.
If somebody is
Yeah.
health conscious, we are saying gym is available, yoga is available, dance class is available. What is not available? You have counselors.
Yeah,
It is
people-
so important, Darshana, that the organization is investing, no questions asked. And then you have people and the team to help you. I think this is an organization which is saying, please go take care of your health. But people are scared, thinking that if something shows up, what will happen to their employment? I don't think it's about that. It is saying that we truly invest in your health. Now, we're saying you please take your leaves regularly. Spend time with your family.
Yes, the whole
have mandatory leave.
Yes,
Yeah.
Have your own hobbies.
Yes.
You don't have to just log out in office. You're not going to be productive.
And which organization really does at our kind of scale. We are not
Yes.
a startup who is doing, we are really at scale. And I think this is
Absolutely.
where the whole the physical, mental, emotional you spoke about, financial, of course, where we are a financial services. Khushboo, anything that you have to add here?
And we have so many health checkups in the office from Aditya Birla health insurance team. And sometimes so everything was very supportive and keeps you calm, like, yeah, everything is fine. That is one thing. And financial, I think a lot of it is taken care of in the policies where, so it's also like I have a different compartment. When I'm going on maternity, this adds up. Like the nanny adds up, the creche adds up, and everything. When it comes from a separate policy, even though I could have, it could have been part of the CTC as well, but when it comes as a separate benefit, it's altogether a different feeling to have
Absolutely.
that, and it's
Absolutely.
very useful to have these benefits. So that's apart from this, I also wanted to add about the culture and wellness. So last year when I was coming daily, and in the 8th month, my colleagues were telling me, why are you coming to office? Why even now? I mean, take work from home. And I used to tell people, I'm very happy coming to office because I can walk around. I have colleagues to talk to. I have nothing to do at home.
Amazing.
There also, I'll just sit on my laptop. So that adds to wellness, and that adds to a lot of happiness in day-to-day life. So I was very comfortable coming to office, and that's the culture which we talk about, which is not written in any policy document.
Yes, and you're
That's-
saying that after taking a maternity break, but you still felt the same welcome. You just felt as if
Yeah.
you were just part of the
So
day-to-day.
that's something which the culture part brings
True.
in. And
Actually, she is right. It's just not about you having policies or you having these kind of privileges. I think the communities that we have built around, for example, we have Her Cafe. Her Cafe is where women can talk anything about themselves. Might be they're having a burnout, might be they're having a bad day, might be they're having tough time at home. They can just talk about anything. So
Yeah.
these lean-in communities are very
lean-in is
important.
important.
And then the Motherhood Cafe, my God, you should see the interaction,
See.
Darshana.
Yeah.
Right from the moment the woman gets married to when she's conceived to she has a baby, the chatter is so, it is so lively that so much they want a safe space where they can talk about coming to work.
Correct.
See, it's not that you can't share it with your family or with your friends outside, but the organization, the culture, so your colleagues will understand the context much better than
Absolutely.
anybody else.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
when you talk about it and you find solutions, you'll say, yeah, we navigated through this phase and this help probably
Yes.
you would like to try. I think the community that you build around is very, very important.
Absolutely, because the openness and the transparency to lean in. I think what you're talking about is important because
Yeah.
many a times, and where you were talking about the tier 2, tier 3 India women, where they're supposed to do the house chores and work and manage, they are still not given the freedom that Sujatha you spoke about with your spouse, or I have had. So yes, this leaning in and asking support is very important,
Yeah,
right? And in fact, I want to also share some of my experiences that I have seen here, which is why the loyalty that we bring in and the reason to be happy to come to work every day. My first thing was when I got the award at ABG, and that got me to do something which was my dream. Was do a course. So I did my Harvard course, Harvard Business Program, thanks to the money, some of the money and the nudge that I got from my colleague at when I was at Health Insurance, She said, when my CFO, my colleague, she said that please go and do. I was not sure to do a 50 lakh program, but the nudge came from my colleague and the money, the part money came from
Absolutely.
the award. And I love the awards that we hear. And I always tell my team that do that kind of work to see the award programs and the monies that you get to, upskill yourself.
Absolutely.
Secondly, recently my son just gave his 10th, and I was not even aware that you get some days off to be for your child, when they are in your 10th board and 12th board. I had no idea. And very nicely, the HR counterpart, she came and told me that, Darshana, you can take this. So, yeah, it's amazing that we are given this kind of support system, which is, helping us as women. So, bringing to what are the new trends that you see, Sujata? Where do you see this whole thing, going?
Yeah, I think across the globe now, most of the organizations are becoming very, very serious about DI, because there's a research that says that any organization which has DI as part of culture is showing about 32% increase in productivity and about 20% innovation in the new products.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, which means now diversity, you have a lot of analytics to show where the diversity gap is. It's just not you stating of a number. Where is the diversity gap and how you can actually shrink the gap that is there. The second thing which I told you is the mental health inclusion. The third thing what organizations are doing is how can you change your business models, because the customer is also getting younger, you have more women customers. So how do you change business model which is much more conducive and much more inclusive?
Right.
And secondly, how you can bring in now, especially with AI, okay, and tech, how can you make it much more easy? So upskilling, most of the organization, including us, we are constantly upskilling our employees so that we can serve our customers better. Women can get best opportunities, to give their best. And now I think all boundaries of geography and everything is getting
absolutely blurred.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's becoming a serious affair because now managers are asked to track their diversity numbers. So when a manager wants to be promoted, they say, how many people have you given growth? How many women have you in your team? Yeah. How many leaders have you created?
Yes.
So the accountability is shifted on to the manager also.
Talking about mental, health, and I do want to talk on this, that if people are going through issues, so I had this team member who was going through depression. She didn't even realize that she was going through. And then one day she came and she broke down. She was crying and she said, listen, I think there's something not right. Then what you spoke about, Sujata, people themselves have fear about talking, because what if I'll say and I will lose my job? And here was this, colleague of mine, and she was working. I said, nothing doing. Go and take a break. We are standing by you. I also got her to speak to the HR. Said, your job is not going. Your role is not going. If you are in depression, first sort that out. She went. She did. She came back after 3 months. So this is what I want to bring out to all our listeners and all the employees at Aditya Birla Capital, that if you are going through a mental health issue, reach out, talk about it. And Sujata, is there a helpline or something? Can you talk about it?
So wellness is very, very important to us. And we have Santulan as our helpline if people are undergoing depression or they need any kind of help there. Plus we have a Multiply app. You have so many counselors, well-trained counselors. And it's important for us to say, I need help. For example, if you have fever or, let's say somebody is diabetic or hypertension, you feel proudly saying, I'm going and meeting my physician. It's absolutely fine for you to say, yes, I'm not having a great day. I need help. And we have trained counselors, and it's important for us to call out and seek help. It is absolutely fine. The organization is always supporting, and there's no threat that you will lose job or, you will be looked upon very differently. Mental health, physical health, emotional health, everything together is important.
So where can they find more of these policies on our inclusivity and D&I? Is there a microsite, website, anywhere?
Yeah, we have it in the Aditya Birla. You go to Purnata, you will find everything there. We will be having in HRMS. In fact, in the new website that we are developing, we are going to have an exclusive section on mental health also, Dashna. And I'll tell you, it's our responsibility to go back and look for policies. Ask your HR if you're finding it difficult. If you go to HRMS, you will find so many policies that are there exclusively for women. Please go back and check for those policies. It's there in Purnata at Purnata for Purnata employees also. Go back to your HR. And if you want, we keep releasing, series every Tuesday. You will have tell a tale, and every, I think, other day you will find a lot of policies which saying take your mandatory leave, take care of, please do your health checkup. It's important for us to read mails and take action, because these are the facilities that the organization is offering you, and we should leverage these facilities which are there.
Oh, absolutely. So remember to download Multiply Wellness app.
Yes.
Start your health and wellness journey. Take your mental health,
Seriously.
support seriously. And my last question on this is that how do we create this intentionally? Are there any, structures or areas that we're building to create this culture also more intentionally, Sujatha?
Yeah. First thing is, in every business, the CEO is driving diversity, equity, and inclusion as a business objective rather than as an initiative or as an experiment or one-off things. As I told you, right from our hiring till our training and onboarding, everything, we have all these facilities. Intentionally is where we are tracking the matrices
Nice.
of
Right.
mental health, physical health. Are people taking more leave? Why they are taking leave? Do they need any help? We are sensitizing managers. We are also offering opportunities to employees. So again and again, we are educating them of the opportunities for fast tracking people, youngsters especially. How do you make your multi-generational workforce work together? I always believe, Darshana, that wisdom and technology needs to be integrated.
True.
At home also our kids are of same Gen Z. You come back to work Gen Z. So it's no difference to us at all.
Correct.
And it's very important for us to look at the world through their eyes, because your customers are going to be them.
Absolutely. We'll have to adapt towards them.
Yeah.
We also have to.
And actually, it is not one generation versus the other. I never believe in this versus men versus women, Gen Z versus millennial. I don't think so. It is all about how we bring in our experiences. How do we learn? Probably resilience, tech savviness.
Another important facet that I wanted to talk is about mentoring. Because today, how are we looking at mentoring? And I know that at ABC, we have a lot of mentoring programs, mentoring women, mentoring, and you spoke about when people come back, your accelerator programs and all. But can we talk more on mentoring, and have you gone through mentorships?
I have gone through a mentorship program in early years of my career. I had a mentor, a senior leader in the group, but that mentorship was around taking up more responsibilities, the early leadership growth stages.
Yeah.
So, of course, I have benefited a lot out of it. And it's not necessary that if you're a lady, your mentor has to be a lady.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
I think it helps a lot in getting different perspectives, because that breaks a lot of assumptions which you have about yourself, and it helps us coming out of your comfort zone and seeing yourself from a different angle.
Yes.
It has definitely helped me a lot. And in fact, when taking up a role which was agribusiness role, which had no label of ABG, and it required to travel a lot to villages and rural areas, I did seek out and understand, is it going to be helpful for me? And I definitely got very good answers, and definitely helped me decide, and that's where I decided on my journey, it's more important to be hands-on and be at work rather than seek visibility and labels all the time. And it does help you grow in invisible ways. And being on the other side, I've also mentored teams. I was part of the mentor cohort where I've mentored young women who've just entered from the college. And that also has been a different learning experience for me, because what I went through in my management trainee days is completely different from what now people are facing. As Sujata said, it's very normal for somebody who is just passed out to come and say, I have a therapist appointment today. Can I leave early? And I have also experienced that. And when somebody told about this first to me, I was also like, this has started happening. But now it is normal.
So I also am a strong believer of having mentors in your life. I have had at various stages of my career, because it's important that somebody breaks that bubble for you, somebody gives you that confidence, and that decision that you are taking, there is some sort of feedback that is given to you. So yes, mentoring both. And I think all three of us today, so if people want to come, they want mentorship, all three of us are available. And there is anyways the whole Aditya Birla Capital mentorship program that is being run. But taking mentorship at every stage of your life, whenever you're in doubt or when you also want validation, I think it's very important. Sujatha, anything that you want to add there?
Darshana, ABC has this mentorship program,
Yes,
which
yes.
Khushboo was talking, and the mentors are trained so that they know exactly how to help and make the other person much more effective. That is one mentorship we have, and you are also part of the women mentorship
Yes,
program.
women mentorship.
So all the senior women are helping the middle management women also. You have one-on-one and you have group mentoring, because as a woman I'll be able to much more able to appreciate and resonate what I had been through, so that I can help my other women colleagues. Mentoring is just not because of age or experience. I think lifestyle and how receptive you're to new learning, that is very important.
Very important, right? So amazing, because I think this is where the organization is doing so much. It has been a lot of learning for me also today. The amount of practices that we have, policies that we have. I think it's just about going and finding it out wherever you need it.
Yeah, bereavement policy. If you lose your parent also, the organization is definitely giving that time for you to spend time, and there's a lot of help that comes in, saying that do you need any kind of counselor, do you need therapist, any help that you require at that moment. So it just covers all facets of your life. It's just not about your job, it's just not about your career. So
you come and do your work well, but every other support that you need, the organization is giving you. Aditya Birla Capital, Aditya Birla Group.
Yes.
There's a lot of support system that has been inbuilt. And I think that's what you love, and that's why you feel cared. That's why, like you said, you love coming back to work, because you feel belonged and you feel the psychological safety. So thank you for that. And from here, we're going to change gear.
Yes.
We've done serious talks. Now we're going to do some rapid fire and fun. Sujatha, a D&I initiative for anywhere in the world which you thought you would have thought of first having it at ABC?
In Iceland, you have this policy of 50-50 by 2020. So it's important that you have 50% men, 50% women, and also non-binary. So I wish the gender gap has shrunk. They pay very well across. I think they are leaders in the space of DEI. I wish we are there soon.
Iceland, no?
Iceland,
Imagine.
yeah.
Can I add?
Yeah, please.
I wish we had a reserve parking during pregnancy.
Yeah, interesting. Reserve
Yes,
parking during pregnancy. I think both men and women.
Yeah.
The most surprising thing you have learned about people through your D&I journey?
The most surprising thing which I have learned is that we are self-restricted. I mean, most of the time we are self-restricted.
We create our own barriers.
We
yes.
create our own barriers and we imagine everything.
Yes.
And there is nothing like this in other people's mind, and it's just us.
Absolutely, I agree. So whenever I mentor people, one of the things I talk about, this little voice in your head. If you stop that voice giving you the negative thoughts and you start creating the whole thought bubble and make it big, you'll be happier. Sujatha, one stereotype you would love to it would disappear forever.
They'll say, go slow after 50. Come on, yeah. Darshana, I started running
You started running.
50.
Talk about that, Sujatha. The Comrade runs that you're doing.
I was never into sports background at all, Darshana. I started running at the age of 48. That's again thanks to Rakesh Singh, who was health freak and who just encouraged. And I never knew that I could run. And women have the habit of beating themselves. So I just did 1 kilometer and I thought it was luck. Then I did 2 kilometers and thought luck. And this, I would just take a couple of minutes. So I asked my junior team member who was managing the nominations for Tata Mumbai Marathon. I said, can I do 21? He said, ma'am, abse nahi hoga, chhod dijiye na.
Oh.
I said, what should I do? He said, at least you should do 15 kilometers once. So I was just trying every weekend. And then I did 18 kilometers. I took the first screenshot of my watch and sent to him. Now, will you nominate me?
Wow.
And then Dashna, there's no looking back. I've done my 24 hours run. I've done my several 12 hours run. I did my Comrades in South
Yeah.
Africa.
Amazing.
Yeah. And
Outstanding.
yeah, that's the toughest,
Toughest.
human race, and women in my age, I think from India, well, there were only 30 women. From my age category, there were only 3. Yeah.
And
so,
talk about what is the Comrade Run to our listeners. It's how
so
long?
Comrades is a very tough human race. This happens in South Africa. You run. There's an uphill and a down run. I don't call it downhill run. So it is about 90 kilometers. And it's from Durban to Pietermaritzburg or Pietermaritzburg from Durban. That's the cycle that you want to complete. You have 7 cutoffs. So in any one cutoff, if you don't make it, you go back.
Wow.
For that, you have to get
That's
qualified. Now you have to do a full marathon in 4 hours 45 minutes. For that, you have to get qualified, and then it is intense, grueling training. It's a great feeling that you're representing the country.
Yes.
It's a great feeling that I ran this at the age of 55, 56. It's a great feeling that I ran after hysterectomy. So as a woman, you break all those barriers, which is in your mind.
It's in your mind.
Because when you run, you forget your age, you forget your gender. When somebody's running, you want to run along with them.
Amazing. Hats off and more power to you, Sujatha. And one small action anybody should take today to make workplace more inclusive.
I'll tell Darshana, can I just take 2 minutes and ask my fellow colleague, how are you? When I'm saying, how are you, can I actually look into the person and ask, instead of just saying, hi, Darshana, and just move on. We don't do that. There's so much that the person wants to say or share.
Correct.
I just feel that connect is very, very important. And in the tone, you can recognize something the person is excited or something the person is going through.
True.
And that is what means being connected.
Yes.
That's the smallest thing
Yeah.
I think we should be doing,
You feel anything, Khushboo?
Yeah, I think similar. Day to day, if you can make your people around you feel better and you talk to them, you ask, that makes what I spoke about, a workplace a happy place.
Happy place, yes.
Yeah.
And I also feel the celebration. If we can celebrate small moments in our workplace and inclusive, and giving the junior person, the newer person in your team more voice.
Yes.
Because if we do that more and more, we will see more freshness, more newness coming in. We will not carry our own experiences. And I strongly believe in that. Otherwise, I can sit here all the day and say that, listen, I have done this. I am the most experienced, but that does not go anywhere. We want that junior most, the younger most, a team member to give, and they have very strong and different insights. Thank you very much. Thank you being on the show. And it's amazing insights, amazing conversation. And I hope the listeners, my viewers, would really take a lot, our people, our colleagues, that there's so much happening at ABC. Please take advantage. Please take the support. Thank you, Sujatha. Thank you, Khushboo.
Darshan.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion aren't just the corporate buzzwords. They are the foundation of workplaces that truly thrive. Diversity brings different perspectives to the table. Equity ensures every person has the tools and opportunities to succeed. And inclusion makes sure every voice is valued and heard. Sujatha, Khushboo, thank you for showing us how Aditya Birla Capital is weaving DEI into the fabric of its culture, not just as a side project, but as a way of doing business. And to everyone watching, remember, it's not just about who's in the room, but whether every person in that room feels empowered to contribute and grow. When diversity meets equity and inclusion, the result is innovation, empathy, and a future where everyone wins.